Hi, this is Ben from Turn Sounds, and why not try eating cereal from a cup? Welcome to Just Keep Walking. We're a podcast focused on the Walking Dead TV show, and this week we're talking about a whole number of things Walking Dead related, and just waiting for the season finale of season 10. So, today we're a bit different. It's a two-man show. I'm your host Ben, and joined by Liam.
Yeah, we're a man down today, but it's all right. We're still going to have a good show.
That's right, absolutely. We may be joined by someone partway through. We'll see how we go. Keep it nice and candid. Have a good time.
Yeah,
Should
I
be
like
fun.
it.
Yeah, nice. So I mean, I'll put out a bit of a spoiler alert first. We don't have Isaac to yell our official Turn Sound spoiler warning, but that's alright. Spoiler alert for the TV show. And and if you've got any questions or suggestions, feel free to head to turnsounds.com, email us at turnsounds@gmail.com, or find us on any social media, and that's at Turnsounds. So yeah, we're keen to hear from you. But one of the things that I was thinking we could chat about today was the Pikes. So we had that back. It would have been around this time last year, maybe a bit earlier. But yeah, the second to last episode of season 9 where we had the big Pikes reveal. As far as like theories or things like that, did you have any sort of speculation or theories of who would end up on the Pikes beforehand?
Not a whole lot, and I went into it trying to be deliberate around that. Because there was, I guess you could say, obvious candidates or obvious choices. But I thought, no, I kind of want to try and be surprised. So I didn't really delve into too much theories or try and give it too much thought.
Okay.
How about yourself?
Who are the obvious ones in your head?
Well, for me, actually, all the obvious ones that I thought of weren't up there.
Really?
Sorry, no, there was one, Tammy Rose.
Okay.
Tammy Rose,
she was the only one who got it in the comics, right? Well, both comics and show.
Exactly. So she was the obvious one. I actually wasn't 100% sure if they were going to do Ezekiel like they did in the comics. I felt that his character wasn't finished up on the show yet, so I'm glad that they didn't do that, and they've left it open for this season now. Yeah. Who was the other one? Having a mental blank, but there was another person that was there.
Rosita was also on there in the comics, right?
Bingo. That was who it was, Rosita.
Yeah, right.
And again,
okay.
As much as I love Tara, and she started coming into her own a lot more this season, I think Rosita's just an awesome character overall, so I'm glad that she stayed.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Hey, it's kind of a tie for me. I would go for either, because Tara was also, like you were saying, really, stepping up in leadership in the Hilltop and stuff. I was really liking her character, so yeah, it's kind of a shame either way. But yeah, no, I think it was definitely there were some good surprises there seeing the Pikes, and I think some people that not a lot of people had really guessed or expected. So. Well, they were the Highwaymen guys who had only been introduced like 1 or 2 episodes before, so I guess that wasn't a big tragedy.
I speak for yourself. I was devastated.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, the main character. I'm like, are you kidding me? You just threw these guys in there just as fillers to put on Pikes.
Yeah.
I really liked. I can't even remember the main guy's name now.
Ozzy.
Ozzy, that's it. Yeah, he was awesome. This dude was incredible.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's gone. I'm like, that's a little kick in the nuts while you're down on the ground for you.
Yeah, devastated, eh?
Yeah.
What's going off topic a bit, but we got time. With the Highwaymen, I don't know. How did you feel about them in general? Do you think it was worth having them in the show? Because I guess they came back a very little bit in season 10. They were saying the Highwaymen want justice and stuff like that, because they were angry at the Whisperers. And, aside from that, I can't really think of a whole lot that, they contributed to the plot that wouldn't have happened without them. But were you happy that they were there, or?
Honestly, with the way things turned out, probably not. So I
Hmm.
think it seemed to me that they were added just for an extra couple of heads to put on the spikes. The Pikes, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and taking out the fact that I quite enjoyed the Aussie character, I thought he was an interesting cat.
Sure.
Yeah, it seems a little bit redundant. I mean, the plot would have found a way regardless. You know, in the words of the great Dr. Malcolm, life finds a way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I
And the
think it could have
plot
been done
always
without them.
finds a way.
Yeah, yourself, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I was definitely a bit iffy on them when they were first introduced, and even watching it back, I find it a little bit cheesy. Just their very first
Mm.
introduction scene, and like when Carol says, you know, oh, what if we could show you a movie or something like that, and they're like, oh, it seems a little
Seriously?
bit silly, yeah. But I don't have a big problem with it by any
Mm.
means, and I think it is definitely interesting. I definitely would have liked it more if it carried on more into season 10 and stuff like that. As
Yeah,
far as just the idea of having a group of people whose sole job it is, to patrol the roads and keep the roads safe and things like that. Um,
yeah.
I guess the deal they had was to keep the roads safe for the fair, but if that was more of a long term ongoing thing, I think that would have been interesting for sure.
That's a good point. Although it was just surrounding the kingdom too, wasn't it? They were protecting them. The kingdom's gone.
Yeah, yeah, actually that's true. Yeah, and
Yeah.
there were it seems as though they've still got scouts out because when Negan helped the Whisperers to put the tree down and stuff like that to block the roads. They killed like a few of the random scouts that were out there and then got them to call in the fake call on the radio. So I guess they've still got some sort of
Yeah.
patrol system. Yeah.
But I wonder if that's specifically just the highwaymen or if that's the greater group altogether and
Yeah,
they were the ones that were out on patrol at the time.
for sure. Yeah, it seems like a mix of everyone. But
Yeah.
yeah. Oh well. Good old Highwayman. At least Aussie was fun for the very
Rest in
brief
peace,
bit of
Ozzy.
screen time. Yeah,
Uh,
definitely. Yeah. What one thing actually, as maybe we'll get into a bit of some alternate people who could have ended up, and maybe some ones that would have been interesting. I think there's a lot of characters who they've had as side characters who, would have been big hits if you were to leave the highwaymen out completely. You could have killed off some, relatively big characters, and I feel like they haven't really used a lot of them since. So for example, someone like Cindy, who I've got in the background behind me in the Zoom thing here, or even Laura, like she sort of had a bit of an anticlimactic death in season 10 and didn't really do anything.
yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, I feel like rather than sort of I don't know, I'm hesitant to say wasting, but yeah, kind of wasting the characters in the sense of not really having anything to do after that point. I mean, I can't tell you a single line Cindy's said in season 10. So, yeah, I feel like those would have been a lot more hard hitting characters that
Mm.
we actually know and kind of like. And if they didn't really have anything for them
Yeah.
to do in the plot ongoing, then that sort of would have been the perfect time to get rid of them, I would have thought.
That's very true. I don't even know. Has Cindy even had any screen time this season? I don't even know if I've seen her on.
Yeah, I feel like we saw her in like the first episode maybe because they were training at Oceanside, but I really can't remember much
Yeah.
specific.
Yeah.
And we saw like 2 seconds of Rachel in the latest episode, but no Cindy really. They're pretty much. Oh, there's
Hmm.
Beatrice. She's like the. Oh, there's two of them with like short hair or something, and there's another one. But yeah, there's like four people that we recognize from Oceanside. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like one of those would have been a bit more interesting than just introducing the Highwaymen
Yeah.
only to kill them off. Yeah.
And
Did
then
you
we
have
could have
any
had
other?
more of the highwaymen.
Yeah, yeah, all that. Yeah. Did you have any other sort of thoughts of some other people who would have been interesting to see on the Pikes?
Yes and no. I
Hmm.
suppose I did toss up the idea of what would it look like if Lydia was put on there.
Okay.
Purely just as a massive, and I suppose they sort of went down that avenue anyways by doing that to Henry. But yeah, I
Hmm.
went down the thought process of what would it look like if, she is that deranged, and I suppose she ultimately was, but,
Yeah.
she's that committed to her cause that she really wants to send a message not just to like the Alexandrians, but also the
Hmm.
Whisperers. Like, hey, she's not with us, so this is what happens if you step out of line. I don't care if you're blood, your head will end up on a pike.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
So
that
I did
actually
think
makes
about that.
sense, eh? Yeah. When you first said that, I was like, oh, no, she wouldn't. There's no way she would, kill her daughter at that point. But then, well, I mean, she almost did later on in season 10. And
Yeah,
it would
yeah.
make sense, actually, because that was the point where Lydia really said, no, I don't want to be with you guys. I want to be with this other group. And
Mm,
yeah, so that would be perfectly in character, I suppose,
yeah,
for Alpha to just say, all right, see ya. Yeah.
yeah.
But
And
yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
that probably would have been the biggest shock value to not just us as viewers, but both parties there. Like
Mm.
Alexandria, well, I suppose you could say the good guys and the bad guys. The
Yeah.
Whisperers would have got a very clear message: toe the line or you will die. And
Yeah.
the Alexandrians get the message: I'm pretty crazy. I will, if you're not gonna do as I please, I have no problem taking you out, even if you're my own daughter.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually would have been interested to see that. I'm glad they didn't, just because I like Lydia,
Yeah, me
but
too.
that actually would have been quite an interesting yeah, twist and a way to portray Alpha as really ruthless. So yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good choice actually. Would you do Henry and Lydia, or just kill Lydia?
probably just Lydia, because I like the dynamic of, I suppose, and this sounds so sadistic now that I'm starting to
Yeah.
say it out loud, but the dynamic of one actually going, well, I just spent so much time with, like, if in Henry's case here, I spent so much time, for lack of better words, trying to rehabilitate her because I really care about this girl, and
Right. Yeah.
yeah, like if they were both on the Pikes, I suppose it would have this poetic of, we ended up going out together or something. But
Hmm.
the dynamic of one going while the other one sort of has to sit back and sort of feel the guilt of that to a degree, feeling like they're to blame.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that would have been interesting to see from Henry's perspective, because I guess my guess would be that he would have gone along the thought process of, I took her away from her family, like this is all on me. If I'd have just left her where she was, maybe she'd still be alive.
Hmm. Yeah, and that would have been, because Daryl and everyone was saying, "Oh, look, just leave her," and he was trying to help
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah, so that would have really made a lot of sense of, oh, if I'd just listened to those guys.
Mm.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting. I at the same time, I really like the dynamic of Lydia, and I think there's the very last scene of that episode where they Lydia and Daryl are sort of at the Pikes, and she puts down the little H necklace
Mm.
symbol
Yeah.
thing. Just the music in that scene, I think, sums up the emotion really well. But I don't know. There's really this feeling of, she's left everything behind. She's completely, given up her own life to move to this new community, and she hasn't really got a relationship with anyone else at this stage. She's, slightly with Daryl and stuff like that, but really Henry was pretty much all she had, and now it's this moment of, oh, now what? I've
Yeah.
left everything behind, and now I'm in this completely new place, and now the only person who I really had a connection with is gone. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting dynamic to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm. Yeah,
What about
rough.
you? Did you
Oh,
have anyone that you thought of as
yeah.
off?
So one other one instead of Henry would be like, what if they didn't kill Carl in season 8, and they kept him going to have the Henry storyline, and then they put Carl's head on the spike?
Oh,
That would have been crazy.
whew. Can you imagine the backlash?
Yeah. Well, I
Man,
mean, there was enough backlash anyway. So when they did kill Carl,
yeah, man. But in that manner, whew,
hmm,
that would
yeah,
have stung.
totally. And I mean, I'd be saying, oh, why did you have to do that? How does that add to the story? But then I think most people kind of feel that way about Carl dying in season 8 anyway, because
Hmm.
they say that's part of what helped Rick to spare Negan, but it could have happened so many other ways, and it didn't really even make that
Yeah.
much of a big difference anyway,
No.
from what I felt, because I mean, Rick went all the way to slitting Negan's throat in the moment and then just changed his mind last minute, so that doesn't really seem like Carl's death was the big thing that, the big turning point for Rick.
Yeah.
Sure, it played a part of it, but yeah, wasn't as pivotal as I think it could have been. Um, yeah, how would you feel about that with Carl sort of keeping him around a bit longer?
I would have been all for Carl sticking around longer. I personally like. I'm not 100% sure if this is the case, but if I'm not mistaken, Carl is I suppose, the main protagonist for the comics to a degree, isn't he? Outside of Rick, because I suppose it's
Yeah,
the
well,
future.
outside of Rick, yeah.
I would have liked to see that on the show. I mean, you see Judith sort of stepping into that role now, but at the end of the day, these kids are the future.
Mm,
And I like that. How do I verbalize this? I like that mind frame of, these are the kids who have to grow up in this post-apocalyptic world. They have to play the cards they've been dealt and make a better place and figure out how to rebuild, all that sort of stuff.
mm,
But I like the perspective of Carl, who can look back and say, well, actually, no, I actually started out in the time before all this happened. So I know I have recollections of what the world was once like, and I'd love to try
yeah.
and rebuild to a place like that. Whereas from Judith's perspective, it's all I. This is all I know. I was born into this world. I've heard stories of what it was like prior, but
Mm,
so I'll always to the day I die say that Carl should have stuck around.
yeah,
Um,
okay.
whether like seeing him on the Pikes, I think I probably would have been more shocked at for sure.
Mm,
It would have been more brutal, I think.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But I think that would have been a nicer send off than getting bitten by a walker after all this
Okay.
time.
Yeah, yeah, true.
If someone as pivotal as Carl is going to go, give him an awesome send off.
Yeah, that's very fair actually. Yeah.
Yourself? I mean, that
That's
was a very
definitely
long-winded response, but
no. That's a good response. That would definitely be a big, well, a big shock at least. Not necessarily a big send off, but well, in one way or another, I suppose. Yeah, yeah. I guess another trail of thought is that they've. I feel like one of the issues I'm having with season 10 is just that they've got so many main characters, all who we really like and want to see more of, but they just don't seem to, yeah, have enough space to fit them
mm,
all in the show. So that's why we'll go so many episodes without seeing, one of the main characters, and then you sort of see them, and then you're missing out on half the other characters. So it's definitely feeling a
yeah,
bit crowded to me, and I think it would have been interesting as sort of a way of managing that if they had like even like doubled the amount of Pikes and just like capped off a whole heap of side characters. Not that I would want that to happen, but I think yeah, it could have been potentially beneficial for the story.
yeah.
So I don't know, Gabriel potentially. Yeah, I don't know if I'd want all of these, but there's Aaron. You could have done one of Magna's group. I think Luke died in
Mm.
the comics, didn't he? He was one of the
I
Pikes.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah, Isaac wouldn't be happy, but yeah,
Long live
and
Luke.
yeah, long live Luke, absolutely. Yeah, again, Cindy from Oceanside. There wasn't anyone from the Oceanside community who was affected by that, so and she hasn't really had anything to do, so that would have been a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not thinking of a whole heap else off the top of my head. Even potentially, I don't know if you'd want to go for a really big character like, yeah, Carol or Michonne or something. Probably not. That'd be too much.
No, I mean it would certainly frustrate everybody, but at the same time, it would really highlight just how much of a threat the Whisperers are.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I think that's one thing that was maybe slightly lacking. It was a shock. We all liked Enid and Tara and Henry and stuff like that. Well, some people didn't like Henry, but I think most people liked Henry. um, but yeah, Carol was obviously really affected by Henry, but
Mm.
I don't know if we, as the audience, were as emotionally involved in it as we could have been. If it was Rick losing Carl, that would have been like, whoa, that would have been
Mm.
massive.
100%.
Yeah, so if I think they could have afforded to put a few more big characters on there to the point where, when Glenn left the show, we really felt, there's so many moments and scenes after that you go, oh, it would have been nice to have Glenn here. Or,
Yeah.
you can totally imagine him being there in the show, and it feels like there's something missing without him. And I
Yeah,
feel
that's very
like we
true.
didn't quite get that from the Pikes. If you'd put maybe a few more key characters on there and we really felt like, oh, something's really missing without these guys, I think that could have helped a bit more to make the Whisperer War stakes a bit higher,
Mm.
maybe.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I like that.
Hmm. I'm trying to, now my mind's gone blank. I'm trying to pull up pictures and see what are some other characters. I'm not thinking of any now. So who we got? We got, oh yeah, there's like Diane. She was in the background. I don't mind keeping her around, but she kind of hasn't had much to do in the story. Oh, what about like Jerry? That could have
Oh,
been something maybe.
that would have hurt.
Yeah. I'd prefer
Yeah.
Ezekiel to die then, I think, rather than Jerry.
Yeah, actually, I'm in the same boat. I love Jerry's character, just that optimism and
Yeah.
the way he interacts with everyone. I love it.
And I guess the thing is, like, the very next episode, they're leaving the kingdom anyway, so
Yeah.
you could have kept it going the same sort of way where after the kings died, okay, now, the community, let's move on. And if it's all falling apart as well, then it kind of makes sense why everyone would move into Hilltop and join there. So,
Mm.
yeah, I think that could have worked. And
Yeah, that's true.
actually, even something that potentially they could have done if they were to kill lots of characters. So you do Ezekiel and Tara, who's leading the Hilltop. So then there's Kingdom and Hilltop without leaders. And then you could look at potentially bringing everyone into Alexandria and sort of have all the main characters in the same
Mm.
place, which I'd quite like to see that again, I think.
Yeah. Actually, that's an awesome point. And as much as I liked the whole snow concept that they did, that would have been
Yeah,
an easier way to say, all right, we need to get everyone in the one spot. Yeah,
sure.
that would have been incredible.
Because yeah, I mean, since season 6, I guess, was the last one where we really had everyone together in the same place. And
Mm.
yeah, there's just something about it that I like. I like not having to jump between all these different locations all the time. I think at some point it would be good for the show to just bring everyone into one place, whether you have to kill off a pile of characters or however you go about it, but just to have them all in the same place. I think it'd be cool to see that again.
Yeah. I wonder if
Mm.
they'll do that for the finale, perhaps. Because who are we
Yeah,
missing?
yeah.
Oceanside's not there, are they? But
What in the tower?
yeah, it's just
There's
uh
not Cindy. Rachel. She was the little girl who was like pulling the finger at Tara. Back in the day, and now she's older. So she's there. But I didn't see anyone else. I don't think.
actually, I guess on the trailer, Gabriel was going like, Oceanside, Hilltop, Alexandria, doing the whole
True.
fist analogy. So I wonder
Yeah.
if that means the Oceanside is there with them.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess so.
But yeah, I agree. It would be cool to have all the characters all together
Hmm.
and banding together to fight the Whisperers. I'd like that.
Yeah. but yeah, like you're saying as well, I guess they could go that way with the finale. I mean, we've got most of them in the same place in the tower
Mm.
anyway. I don't know if they could either go the way of, this whole horde wipes out a pile of people and now they're down to a small group again,
Ooh.
or if they go the opposite way and find the Commonwealth or whatever it is similar to in the comics and join up a much bigger group, and then everyone goes and it's pretty much the opposite to where everyone's in the same place still, but you've got this massive group of people, and now the dynamics are completely different.
Yeah. I think I'll go that way, actually, to be honest.
Which one?
The
Commonwealth?
second way. Yeah, I have a feeling
Yeah.
that'll be the direction they take.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, part of me would really like to just see a small group like out on the
Hmm.
road again though. That'd be something, yeah, I don't know.
As much as I'd like that, I feel like they've done that too many times to be able to pull it off again, though.
Sure, yeah. Yeah,
I'm,
what? Oh, yeah, you go.
what I'm just thinking, like, it would be good, but I can't think of how they could make that seem new and exciting to a degree.
Right, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless
What are
they
your thoughts on
just
it?
completely bombed Alexandria, blow it up, there's no way you could recover. And then they have to go out and walk around and find some new place. Um,
Well, I suppose they
yeah.
could do that with the Commonwealth, perhaps.
Yeah,
They then set
sure.
out and find the Commonwealth.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I guess it kind of leads into a bigger question of where can the show go from here, or even the franchise now, because
Mm.
we're looking at, it could be going into movies, or you could look at spin-off shows and things like that, because really we've had, it started off as a small group. They went from place to place, and I remember back at season 5, everyone was saying, "Oh, this show's it hasn't got much left," because it's always the same formula. If they go to a place, they stay there for like a season, and then it blows up, and they move on to the next place, and there's nothing else you can do. And I was always the one saying, "Oh, look, I reckon Alexandria could work out," and they were like, "Nah, no way. It's just gonna be." They'll stay there for a bit, and then it'll turn out that Alexandria people are evil, and then they'll fight, and then they'll leave, and it kind of that's what it seemed like it was gonna be. But I think it's good that they definitely changed it up. So now they've pretty much been
Mm.
progressively getting bigger. And now with this big Alexandria community, and then you meet other communities, and it's just expanding. Yeah, and I guess the question is, from here we can either go into a really big Commonwealth community where the story turns into a lot less survival and more character dynamics and things like that, because survival is not really an issue if you got this huge city with tens or hundreds of thousands of people. um
Yeah.
yeah, I guess there's you can put elements of it in there, but it's not quite the same as just trying to survive day to day out on the road in this world full of zombies. But then the other way would
Yeah.
be to whether you just split it off into other movies or shows, or kill like 90% of the main characters and only have a small group. Then you could just keep it real small and intimate and survival focused. Yeah, do you have any thoughts? Or even could you like take a few handful of characters and go into a movie and do that? Would that be something you'd be interested to see?
I don't know how it would work, and I still cannot for the life of me figure out how the Rick movies will work. But
Yeah.
you best believe if and when any movie comes out that's The Walking Dead related, I'm gonna see it.
Yeah, oh,
I just,
absolutely.
I'm just so used to the series format that I just can't picture how it would go as a feature length film.
Hmm.
But if anyone can pull it off, Daryl.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, there's been a few articles. I don't know if you've seen any of them rumoring like that a Daryl movie is in the works.
Ah,
I'll say straight up, I don't believe them because the source is from wegotThiscovered.com, and they're notorious for just
okay.
having like so many bogus news articles and sources that never turn out to be true and stuff like that. So So yeah, I'm not taking that as fact at all at this point, but yeah, it could be interesting, I suppose. It's food for thought. Would you want to see a Daryl movie, or would you prefer to just keep him in the main show?
Oh, a good question. I don't know. I'm definitely more than happy just keeping him in the main show.
Hmm.
But as long as they weren't to ruin the show by putting him in a movie, yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to it for sure.
Yeah. And I guess also I don't see why they couldn't, do a movie and keep him in the show. You can just skip over that point of time in the show and have him go on a little side adventure, or something like
Yeah.
that, to where you could keep watching the series and not watch the movie, and the story would still make sense. But then it's just this extra adventure that we get to see him go on. That, um,
Mm.
yeah, they don't necessarily have to take him off the show, I think, to make that work.
Nah, well, they could use the what was it, the 7-year time skip that they did.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, they already did that flashback episode with Michonne and Daryl, and all the kids and stuff like that. So that
Yeah,
filled in
exactly.
like a tiny piece of the puzzle, but you could do plenty in that period of time.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I guess miniseries or other things like that is another way they could go, which I wouldn't be too opposed to, because I think that could potentially solve the problem of it being crowded and not being able to give enough focus to all the characters. So something like the Michonne episode that we got, that already felt like it could almost be its own spin-off show or series or something like that, because it
Mm,
still ties
yeah,
into everything, but it's pretty much a separate storyline that you're following now. So
yeah,
yeah, I'd definitely be keen for a handful of characters to go off on some sort of supply run. I don't know. Even for example, like Eugene and Eugene Ezekiel and stuff like that. Some sort of big thing like that where they've got to go a long distance, rather than cutting between all the different storylines in the show. You could just have them go off and then make that a mini series, and then half a season or a season later on the main show, then they just arrive back and say, hey, we're back from the trip. And yeah. I don't know. Would you say?
Vacation to the Bahamas went well.
Yeah, totally. Would you see something like that working?
Yeah, I suppose if they wrote it well enough. I mean, you wouldn't want
Mm.
to set up a mini series and then through the traditional normal series, you don't want to then be sitting there going, man, I really miss, like, I love that I get to see what Eugene and that are doing in this one, but I wish they'd come back.
Yeah, totally. But
But I think
then
it'd
at
still
the
work out
same
all right.
time, they kind of already did that with Rick. Like, if you didn't watch anything, didn't read any articles online, you only watched the main show on TV, you would still be, and I've heard this from people. There's still people saying, oh, when's Rick going to come back? He just left in a helicopter and then they never cut back to him. So people are still waiting, saying, "Oh, okay, where'd Rick go? When's he going to come back?" Because unless you're sort of reading the extra stuff, which most people do,
Mm.
that most people would have at least heard of it or seen some article or Googled it or whatever. But yeah, I think it's something that they kind of have done in like the biggest way they possibly could, with the main character just saying, "Oh, look, he's gone off somewhere." And we'll promise we'll tell you the story at some point. Yeah,
Can't get any more open ended than that.
that's it. That's it. And I think it seems like that's the way they're potentially going with Michonne at the moment. Because
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm definitely not set that they're going to do 3 Rick movies, because that's what they said originally. But it's been quite a while, and I think a lot's changed in the meantime, that they could easily change it up and do something else. But at the very least, it seems as though we'll likely get a Michonne series or a Michonne movie or something like that, to maybe fill in the gaps, and then get one where her and Rick reunite, sort of, a Michonne movie, Rick
Mm.
movie, and then one of them together potentially.
Yeah. I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, wouldn't mind it.
Yeah.
Are you going to be checking out World Beyond when that comes out?
When's that coming out, actually? I
So
haven't really
it
looked
got
into it too
delayed
much.
pretty much at the same time as the finale. So I imagine they did this with Fear the Walking Dead as well, where when the Walking Dead finale ends, then the premiere for the next show airs straight afterwards.
Hmm.
So I imagine they're going to do the same thing, and that seems to be the way to, you know, bring viewers in. They're already thinking about Walking Dead. They're already interested. And even all the casual viewers who probably wouldn't bother to see it otherwise, they're sitting in front of their TV anyway, and they're going, "Oh yeah, may as well just
Yeah.
keep watching and see what this one is." So that definitely makes sense from like a marketing point of view that they would do it at the same time.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I'm definitely going to give it a try. I'll be honest,
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm expecting a whole lot from it, but that might be because Fear the Walking Dead had so much potential, and I feel that they sort of dropped the ball with that in so many ways.
yeah, absolutely.
How about you?
Yeah. Um, Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm not super excited yet. I'll definitely watch it and check it out. And I'm hopeful. So, like, Fear the Walking Dead had great potential, but kind of ruined it. I'm hopeful that this is the opposite
Yep.
case, where it seems like, oh, I don't know if this is going to be any good, but then they could totally, surprise us and really make something that's, really good. So that's
Hmm.
I'm optimistic. I'm hoping for it, but I definitely don't have any
Hopefully.
expectations just yet.
Yeah. Well, they'd surely be aware of all the backlash that Fear's copped.
Yeah,
So you'd hope that
absolutely.
they'd take some of that criticism on board.
Hmm. Yeah. It's. I think it's just that it looks like a sort of a CW teen show versus something
Yeah.
set in the same world as The Walking Dead. That seems to be the main thing that's worrying most people, and I get that they kind of want to target that younger audience, and it might bring in some new viewers, but I really don't see it doing that much for them as far as bringing in new people. Like, I feel like keeping the current fans interested is more important than that, which they
Yeah.
don't quite seem to be doing at this stage. Well, yeah,
Unfortunately.
we'll have to wait and see, I guess.
Yeah.
Can't judge yet. And same with Fear the Walking Dead. I think you said you haven't watched season 5 at all yet, have you?
No, I don't. I don't even know what the latest season that I watched is. I
Hmm.
think
And that
I
was
got a
probably
little bit
based off
through.
my non-recommendation.
Yep, that's exactly why I haven't done it. I think you told me that you've already said spoilers ahead, so I can say this. I think
Sure,
you
yeah.
told me that Madison died, and I'm like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
of the incredible characters, bar Alicia Debnam McCary. I hope I pronounced that right.
Yeah,
Apart from
yeah.
her character, like all the incredible characters have gone, and yeah, they did bring
Mm,
in some new characters that were interesting and cool. But
mm.
man, like, there was so much potential for Madison, for I can't remember the son. I suppose
Nick,
even was
yeah.
it Travis, the dad?
Yeah, yeah. He was just like
Yeah, I
really
mean, like,
suddenly killed off.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, they dropped the ball there. So I'm like, no,
Mm.
I'm done. Like, it's not even a fact of shocking me. And I'm like, oh wow, this is great storytelling. I did not see that coming. It's like, really, why are you doing that? Like, you're just going for shock value here, and it
Yeah,
sucks. There's no
yeah.
point to this other than trying to shock me.
That's it, yeah.
So yeah,
I mean,
Fear the Walking Dead's lost me.
that's fair, that's fair. I really did like in the moment I really liked Nick's death because he was like my favorite character, and I was just watching the show going along like, oh yeah, normal episode, and then all of a sudden he dies, and it's like, what? You just killed like
Yeah.
the main character. Yeah, so that was
Yep.
a massive shock, and I didn't get that spoiled at all. So that was probably one of the last big surprises I've had while watching anything Walking Dead related. Um, yeah, so I enjoyed the shock in the moment, but then straight afterwards you read, oh, the actor didn't want to be on the show anymore, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, fair enough.
Was that the reason?
Yeah, apparently.
Wow.
Apparently, yeah. And then Madison and everything. I'm more than fine with them doing that if they've got a really good story with Morgan and everyone that they can replace it with. But it
Yeah.
just didn't go anywhere. And
Nah.
season 5, you got this like crazy lady who kind of looks like Michonne, or Michonne crossed with Whoopi Goldberg. And she's like poisoning the like random bits of water for some reason, and it's just really weird. It doesn't make any sense. And there's actually it's funny, but it's dumb. There's a scene of like I think it's Dwight, because he's crossed over into the show. He holds up like an axe. There's 2 zombies behind him. John Dory, who's the cowboy guy, he's only got 1 bullet. And so Dwight like holds up an axe with the sharp bit facing John, and John shoots the axe and the bullet splits in half and kills both the zombies. No. It's like the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen.
Why do they have to do that?
Yeah. Not to mention,
you're not
there's
even
like
trying anymore when you get to that stage.
Yeah, I know. Hey. There's like
they know that no one's watching, right? They're like, come on, no one's watching anyways. Let's just put this in here.
Someone just really wanted to do it, and they're like, okay, fine. They like kept begging the producers.
That's terrible.
And that's not to mention that like one of the big things that saves the day at the end of the season or halfway through the season is like this big inflatable beer bottle shaped hot air balloon. It's literally like Augie's beer. It's like a advertising one, and then they like bring a hot air balloon and come and save everyone from an island. It's just weird. Yeah, I don't know. There's some great characters.
Potential.
Yeah, absolutely. I love John Dory. Him and June, their relationship is really great. Yeah, Strand's pretty cool. Alicia's cool, but even Morgan's just getting a bit old over there. So it's a shame, but we'll see. I'm not optimistic for season 6. I think is what's next, but I'll check out a couple of episodes maybe.
Man, I'm surprised they haven't canned it.
Yeah, totally. It's like even you look on the social media, and pretty much every time they put out a post about it, like 95% of the comments are just negative people saying, "Oh, what are you doing with the story? It's not going anywhere." It's like surely they can work out what's not working. But yeah,
You'd think so.
I'll still hold out hope. I'll still check out a few episodes at least whenever they bring out a new season, in hopes that they completely turn it around. Because they did that even with Walking Dead. 7 and 8 were really going downhill, and then season 9 just completely revamped it and turned it around.
Fair point.
It's one of the best seasons. So
yeah, that is a very fair point, actually.
You never know, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh, here's holding out hope then, I suppose.
That's it. Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah, that can probably wrap it up for today. Was there any other stuff that you wanted to talk about?
No, not off the top of my head. No.
Yeah, sweet, cool. Yeah, I like it. I like doing it this way. Hey, nice and casual.
Yeah,
Laid
okay.
back.
Everything's off the cuff.
Totally.
Well, it's always off the cuff, but
yeah, that
feels more off the cuff.
Yeah. Fun times. Alrighty. Well, thanks for listening, guys. I've been your host, Ben.
And I'm still Liam.
That's right. And if you want to get in touch with us at all, then we'd love to hear from you. You can email info. Oh, wait, is it? No, it's not info. It's turnsounds@gmail.com. There we go. We've also got turnsounds.com, where you can find some of our other podcasts or contact us through there. Otherwise, there's social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of those we're Turn Sounds. So yeah, we'd definitely love to hear from you, and thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you whenever we do the next one.
Adios.